We just had a little learning experience off YouTube because I don't want to embarrass the cunts here. But there's a point that I want to make, and I think it's apropos sitting in front or standing in front of this big stack of cash. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who the recipient was, I would have liked to have been the recipient if it was legal money. This is a drug deal, purportedly. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I think I read. But that's what about $25 billion looks like, more or less. More or less. Looks good to me. I'm sure, like when I was in the diamond business, I'd be rolling around in the cash and, you know. But yesterday on our one-on-ones, I was interviewing one of the members, or one of the attendees here, and he's a vascular surgeon, well-educated, successful guy. And he said, and I had met him for a coffee or something in Beverly Hills a few months ago, and he had said, quite aptly, he says, you know, I'm here now, and this is a different world, YouTubers, and this is a different fucking world. This is my world, and my kids just say, well, this is the house. But if you have any aspirations of having anything remotely close to, or not remotely close to this, but remotely different than where you are now, it'll take massive change and massive pain. A number of you want to take care of your parents. That's admirable. But the excuse for you not being more successful to date is because you've been fucking around with your parents. That's not admirable. And if your parents had any balls whatsoever, and they really loved you, they'd say, leave me. You know, in the old Neanderthal caveman days, when the old people, they weren't so old, they only lived to be 25, 30, something like that, and they couldn't chew their food, the kids chewed their food for them and then gave it to them. Now, how many in this room would chew their food and then give it and spit it in their parents' mouth, like in that bird? Remember, there was. You know. But when it was time for the old fucks to die, they moved the camp and they just left them there. There's a time to leave them. There's a time to leave them. Now, there was a. What was the takeaway? You read Seneca last night. What was the takeaway in Seneca?
We have plenty of life, but we just waste it.
Fuck it away. Correct. And he was a guy that wrote about 500-600 BC, I think, if I remember correctly. A Roman guy. I think he was Roman. The other one you read about fear. That's a long word I can't pronounce. What's that long word?
Acrophiopia.
Not bad for a Mexican. Okay. And what does that mean? What is that all about?
There's nothing to be scared of, really.
Yeah, but it's the massive phobia, the massive fear of being afraid. Being afraid.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure, you know.
Irrational fear of failure.
Correct. That's right. And you saw the movie Fear last night. And by the way, that Mexican guy, I think, was it a Mexican guy that came with a knife?
Yeah.
Okay, I always say a black guy. And the last time the angry black man that was here said, hey Dan, that guy wasn't a black guy. That dude was a Mexican or something.
He might have been a 3%.
Well, yeah, he wasn't a 3%er like me either. But I would have handled that whole different the way that guy and his girl did. I would have jumped on that fucking guy with a knife. You better know. I used to say when I thought I was tough, in a fighting situation, I'd say, you either be a lot, and really when you get in a fight, you don't talk. But when I was trying to talk my way out of something, I'd say, you either have to be a lot tougher than you look or fucking Bruce Lee in disguise, because I'm going to rip your head off and shit down your fucking neck. And that got me out of a lot of fights. A lot of fucking fights, because people, what the fuck's that guy saying to me? Okay, but what was the takeaway on the fear thing?
It's contagious.
It is contagious. In mob mentality, you see it all the time. I've been on a plane. You know how women and children are supposed to leave boats and planes that are in distress first? That ain't the way it works. I've been on a plane that's going down, and they were stepping on the backs of nuns and children to get out of that motherfucking plane. And here I'm trying to cover up the nun and the kids, and people are stepping on me as the plane's going, yeah. But you suffer from that. And what was the last film? Greed. Yeah. And what was the takeaway on that?
It's good to be rich.
You fucking ain't right. Jamie, God, from your lips to the big man's ears. I've been rich and I've been poor, and it's just no fucking comparison, believe me. And as Doc said, I mean, you know, I'm not Donald Trump, but this ain't bad. This ain't bad, you know.
Greed is good.
Yes, greed is good. Greed is good. As long as it's moral, ethical, legal, and you're not hurting anybody on purpose. And as I said, you're going to hurt people. Like one of the slides we saw yesterday, he says, the hardest thing was when I separated from my parents. It was very emotional. I came here in the early 80s, left my family in East LA. Only one of my relatives has been here to visit me. One in 30 years. My kid brother, who's a high performance guy, he's a deputy chief of the LA County Fire Department, the number 2 or number 3 guy. He's a high performance kid, Vinny. But he's the only one that's been here to visit me. Nobody else. Nobody else. You had a question. Somebody had a question.
I had a question.
Yes.
Yesterday in the evening, you called us all cunts.
Correct.
And,
well, you are. Well, virtually
yeah.
not everybody, but almost everybody in this room is a cunt.
This kept me thinking about it. Why I'm still felt good in the time. And you mentioned that it becomes a networking event, which
That's not what it is. I mean, the networker guys, none of them are up there. I'll put it another way. Not a one fucking one is up there. Not a one fucking one has even remotely come close to being up there. And Mexicans like the network because they're insecure. Blacks are less insecure, but they like the network. Asians like the network. So the question.
I was thinking where it's coming from, and I guess as you mentioned with the parents give you should have a house, you should have a car, you should take care of the kids and education, and if you reached it, you feel well. But we are here to make the next step. And also we had the discussion about 10 millions. What is the difference between 10 and 100 millions?
Believe me, I can't begin to explain to you the difference.
I'm not there yet, but my question would be, do we getting a certain number which you say, guys, don't even aim lower than this?
When we talk about goals, like you said in your papers, I set my goals. I said I'll accomplish all my goals when I'm 29 this and I'm 31 this and all this shit. All that shit is nothing, But the only good thing, the only truthful thing he said that makes a difference is that I set my goals too low. All the rest of your stuff is horse shit. And I can just say without, just add 2, 3 zeros. In some cases, 4 or 5 zeros. Because your fucking goals are so low. I mean, but, and that's it. And when we talk about goals and affirmations, my goal was to live in a castle on an island, and it took me 17 months to get here. 17. And when we talk about goals, the story's legendary now. I'm running down Torrance Boulevard, and I turn to my wife and I say, honey, and I had just gotten, this magazine had just come out, Rob Report. God bless Rob Report. And for all you cunts on the YouTubers, cunts, vagina faces, fucking read Rob Report. I get nothing out of it. Okay. We used to give a year subscription to you cunts. And then I went to somebody's office one day and I saw them not even opened up on his coffee table. I stopped that. But I looked in the back, in those days you could see advertisement and it said, oh, castle's for sale. Fuck. That's it. That's all the research I did. 17 months later, I moved into this motherfucker. Had no money when I made the goal. No, that's not true. I had money, but certainly not enough to buy this fucking place.
I think the big takeaway, Dan, for me is that I've had multimillionaires as my mentors, and you're the first mega millionaire. And there's a big difference between having 5 million and having. And
I hope that none of them were Mexican.
Say that again?
I hope none of them were Mexican.
No, they weren't.
Well, good, because that's it. And I sound racist, and I am. I was Latino Businessman of the Year in 1981. 1983, I was supposedly the richest Latino in the United States. And I said then to Al Martinez, God rest his soul, who wrote it, if I'm the best we got in this fucking country, we got a big fucking problem. I used to tell him when I'm getting these awards, I'm on the front page of the LA Times, Pulitzer Prize. Boy, we got a big fucking problem if I'm the best we got. Whereas you little cunts, oh, I can just see Hector. Oh, the richest Latino in America, you fucking vagina face. I mean, it's your perspective. But when I started not hanging, because these guys don't hang, when I started associating with these guys, Costa Grazos, I remember Costa Grazos told me, he said, well, what does it mean that you're the most wealthy Latino? Because he saw the LA Times, somebody brought it in. What does that mean, Mr. Peña? Doesn't mean shit, sir. It doesn't mean shit. Oh, well, maybe you ought to be putting money in these deals instead of me giving you equity. That's all it meant to him. And thank God he never pushed forward on that. I told him, I was really funny about it. I said, I tried to do the sombrero deal, with a serape over my shoulders. And I said, being the richest Latino doesn't mean much in America. It's like not like Mr. Onassi. He laughed. He said, let's go to lunch. Whenever he either wanted to go have a glass of red wine or go to lunch. That was over the last few years of his life. So, you're right. But your parents are giving you standards set on what they did. And that's why it's tough to be my kid. My kids, if they were sitting in here and say, this is all the quantum leap shit. We've been hearing it, the 5 credo crap since we're in our mother's stomach. But it's fucking not hard because whatever you do, Dad doesn't think it's enough. And that's the truth. Whatever Jamie does, what did he do for me lately? Fuck, you did that, not what today. And that's exactly how I am. But that's how all the high performance people that I know are. You want a gold medal? Okay, well, you got two more gold medals to win. You got this, you got that. And people ask me, what's enough? I won't say it's never enough because that's not accurate because I'm slowing down, I'm softening up, although you might not think I'm softening up, but I am softening up as I get older. And I used to laugh when people get in their 60s, 70s, they slow down and they lose their edge. And I haven't lost my edge, but I have softened up. My kid says, Dad, so you softened up 0.5%, so what? I mean, or 1/10% or 1/1,000,000%. That doesn't mean shit, Dad. My daughter wouldn't talk that way, but but you're my kids for the next year. Not everybody's going to make it, but you're my kids. And as in Jamie's class, there were only 5 out of 16 or 14, whatever your class was. Yeah, even finished. That's right. Yeah, in a year, And I remember we talking about intellectually. Everybody thinks it's not going to be them that falls out. But intellectually, why would they drop out? The mentoring's free and this and that. Because the pressure that not just I put on you, but you put on yourself, I'll never do this, but I could post a great book of the emails that I get from these kids over through the year. I just told my mentees, I'm busy with you guys. Unless it's a fucking emergency, don't email me. I had 7 emails this morning. I know you're busy. And I know you may not think this is an emergency, but I scanned them all. I didn't answer any of them. None of them are emergency. One is they're hiring a CFO. One is hiring a CFO. One, they're selling a big building. And it's not their first trick. And if it's their first trick, the first fuck, then but I mean, this is their 9th or 10th building. So what the fuck the only reason they got 8 buildings is because I told them how to do it the 8 times? I hope, well then I'm not a very good coach. Something's not wrong. Insecurity. But what if I fuck this one up? And you know who I'm talking about. Okay, YouTubers, go fuck yourself. I don't want you to come to the seminar. Use my free product. And remember, you're fucked up because of your parents.